Most people don't waste their lives in one big decision. They waste them in small, unconscious choices every single day. Waking up the same way, thinking the same thoughts, feeling the same emotions, repeating the same actions, and then wondering why nothing ever changes. The problem we're solving today is simple, but urgent. How to stop existing and finally start living. Time is the one resource you can never get back. You can lose money and make it again. You can lose opportunities and find new ones. You can lose relationships and rebuild them. But the minutes, the hours, the days that slip by, those are gone forever. And yet, we live as though time is infinite, as though we can endlessly spend it without consequence, as though there will always be another tomorrow. But deep inside, you know that isn't true. Most people don't recognize how much of their lives are being wasted because they are not conscious of how they spend their time. They wake up, check their phone, go through the same routine, and before they know it, the day is gone. Weeks turn into months, months turn into years, and one day they look back and realize that they have been living the same day on repeat. This is what it means to be unconscious of time. You are alive, but not awake. Awareness of time is not about fearing death or obsessing over the ticking clock. It is about realizing that every single moment of your life is shaping who you are becoming. Each thought you think, each action you take, each emotion you dwell in is a deposit into the bank account of your future. When you are unaware of this, you spend your moments carelessly, leaking energy into distractions, complaints, negativity, or habits that serve no purpose. But when you become aware, when you truly see the value of your minutes, you begin to treat them as sacred. Think about it. Every morning when you open your eyes, you are given a fresh set of 24 hours. That is 40 minutes. How many of those minutes are you investing in growth, in love, in creation, in moving toward your vision? And how many are you giving away to unconscious scrolling, shallow conversations, old patterns, or fears? If your time is your life, then how you spend your time is how you spend your life. The tragedy is that most people don't realize the value of time until it is too late. They wait until they are sick, until they are old, until they lose someone they love, to finally understand that time is the most precious gift. But you don't need to wait for loss or pain to wake you up. You can choose awareness now. You can decide today to stop wasting life in autopilot and start living with intention. Awareness of time also means understanding that the present moment is the only place where life is happening. The past is memory, the future is imagination, but this moment, right here, is real. And if you are not fully aware of it, if your mind is trapped in yesterday or racing toward tomorrow, you miss it. How many moments of your life have you missed because you were not really there? How many conversations were wasted because you were distracted? How many opportunities passed because you were too busy replaying old stories? When you are aware of time, you live differently. You stop treating the days as though they are disposable. You stop postponing your dreams, saying, someday, or later, because you know that someday may never come. You begin to bring urgency, presence, and reverence into your life. You start to value each breath, each connection, each opportunity to grow. Science tells us that where you place your attention is where you place your energy. If your attention is constantly lost in the past or the future, your energy is wasted there too. But when you bring your attention fully into this moment, you reclaim your energy and direct it toward what truly matters. That is when life begins to feel alive again. That is when time stops slipping away unnoticed and starts becoming a tool for creation. Awareness of time is not about counting the hours, it is about making the hours count. It is about waking up each day and asking yourself, how can I use this day to align with the highest version of myself? How can I invest my energy into what truly matters? Because every time you waste a day, you are not just losing 24 hours, you are losing a piece of your potential future. When you live with awareness of time, you stop being a prisoner of your routines. You stop repeating the past unconsciously. You stop existing and you start living. You begin to see that every second is an invitation, a chance to choose differently, to create differently, to become more than you were yesterday. Most people believe their lives are shaped by external circumstances, by luck, by opportunity, or by what others do to them. But the truth is that the majority of lives are shaped by one invisible force: repetition. Day after day, without realizing it, people are caught in loops. They wake up in the same emotional state, think the same thoughts, take the same actions, and therefore produce the same results. They call it reality, but in truth, it is just a pattern, an endless loop of the past playing itself out in the present. The loop begins in the mind. A thought triggers a feeling, and that feeling influences the action you take. The action reinforces the thought, and the cycle continues. Imagine waking up stressed, thinking about everything you have to do. That stress produces tension in your body, which influences the choices you make. Maybe you skip breakfast, rush out the door, and respond irritably to others. Those actions confirm your original thought that life is overwhelming. By the end of the day, you collapse into bed, replaying the same narrative. Tomorrow will be just as exhausting. This cycle becomes your personality and eventually your destiny. What many people fail to recognize is that the loop is not accidental. It is the brain's way of conserving energy. The brain loves the familiar. Even if the familiar is painful, it prefers the predictable past to the uncertain future. This is why change feels so difficult. The moment you try to think a new thought, act in a new way, or feel a new emotion, your body resists. It wants to return to what it knows. That resistance is what keeps most people trapped for years, sometimes decades, in patterns that steal their potential. Breaking the loop requires awareness. The first step is to recognize that the thoughts you are thinking are not always truths, they are habits. The emotions you feel every day are not inevitable, they are rehearsed. The actions you take are not destiny, they are choices conditioned by repetition. Once you see this, you begin to realize that you have been living the same day, not for one day, but for many years. Life is not happening to you, life is repeating through you. But awareness alone is not enough. You must disrupt the loop. That means catching yourself in the moment when the old pattern tries to take over and choosing something different. When you wake up with anxiety, instead of letting it spiral, you pause and breathe. When your mind replays the same negative thought, you replace it with a new possibility. When your body wants to react the same way, you consciously take a different action. Every time you interrupt the loop, you weaken it. Every time you choose differently, you carve a new path. This is where freedom begins. The loop is nothing more than programming, and programming can be rewritten. When you deliberately think a new thought, when you practice a new emotion, gratitude instead of stress, love instead of fear, you are teaching your brain and body a new way of being. At first, it feels uncomfortable because it is unfamiliar. But the more you practice, the more natural it becomes. And just as the old loop once controlled you, the new loop begins to serve you. Consider how much of life has been wasted in repetition. How many dreams have been postponed because someone was too busy living in the same cycle of doubt and fear? How many opportunities were missed because people kept telling themselves the same old story of not being good enough? How many relationships have been damaged because individuals kept reacting the same way, never breaking free from old emotional triggers? The loop is not harmless, it is the silent thief of your future. Breaking it is not about making one dramatic change. It is about choosing, moment by moment, to no longer live as a prisoner of the past. It is about waking up to the truth that every time you think differently, feel differently, or act differently, you create a crack in the cycle. And through that crack, the light of a new future can enter. The loop thrives on unconsciousness. It survives when you are too busy, too distracted, or too numb to notice that you are repeating yesterday. But the moment you bring awareness, the moment you step into the present and recognize, I am about to do the same thing I always do, you reclaim your power. You no longer have to obey the old pattern. You can choose to create a new one. This is not easy, because the old self will fight to survive. Your body will crave the familiar emotions of the past like an addiction. Your mind will whisper that change is dangerous. But every time you resist the pull of the old self and choose the unknown, you break another link in the chain. Slowly, the loop dissolves, and in its place arises something new: possibility. Possibility is the gift of breaking the loop. The moment you no longer live as a prisoner of yesterday, you step into the infinite potential of today. You are no longer repeating life. You are creating it. You are no longer wasting time. You are shaping destiny. Every human being carries within them a gift more powerful than any circumstance, stronger than any obstacle, and more transformative than any limitation. That gift is the power of choice. Too often, people forget that their lives are not simply happening to them. They are being shaped moment by moment through the choices they make. Every thought you entertain, every emotion you nurture, Every action you take is a choice. Whether conscious or unconscious, those choices accumulate, and they sculpt the reality you live in. When you realize the true magnitude of choice, you begin to understand that you are never stuck. What feels like limitation is often just a series of repeated choices made without awareness. You may choose to think the same disempowering thoughts each morning, and those thoughts may lead you to the same emotions of fear, stress, or doubt. Those emotions then influence your actions, keeping you trapped in behaviors that do not serve you. But at any moment, you could choose differently. You could choose to think a new thought, to focus on a new vision, to generate a new emotion. That single choice can alter the course of your day, and a series of such choices can alter the course of your life. Choice is the bridge between who you are and who you can become. It is the deciding factor between repeating the past and creating the future. And yet, most people give their power away by believing they have no choice. They say things like, "This is just how I am," or "This is the way life is." But those are not truths. They are decisions repeated so often they begin to feel permanent. In reality, every belief you hold, every habit you practice, every reaction you repeat is sustained by choice. Whether you are conscious of it or not, the power of choice becomes truly transformative when you bring awareness into it. Imagine waking up and asking yourself, "What choices will I make today that align with the person I want to become?" Instead of automatically reacting to your environment, you pause and choose intentionally. You choose gratitude over complaint. You choose discipline over distraction. You choose courage over fear. In that moment, you are no longer a victim of circumstance. You are the creator of your reality. Choice also means responsibility. To recognize that you have the power to choose is to accept that the life you are living is the result of the choices you have made. That is not meant to burden you. It is meant to liberate you. Because if your past choices created the present, then your present choices can create a new future. This realization is where true freedom begins. You are not defined by what has happened to you. You are defined by what you choose next. Think about the choices you make daily without noticing. The choice to dwell on a negative memory or to imagine a new possibility. The choice to speak words that tear down or words that build up. The choice to invest time in distractions or to use that time to build your future. These choices may seem small, but they are powerful because they accumulate. They shape your habits, your character, your relationships, your destiny. Life does not change in one sweeping decision. It changes through 1,000 small choices made with intention. The mind may try to convince you that you are powerless, that you have no control over your emotions or your future. But choice is the antidote to that lie. You may not control every circumstance, but you always control your response. And your response is a choice. You may not dictate every event in your life, but you can choose how you interpret it, how you use it, and what meaning you assign to it. That meaning becomes the foundation upon which your future is built. The power of choice also extends beyond yourself. Every choice you make sends ripples into the lives of others. When you choose to live consciously, when you choose to embody kindness, courage, or integrity, you influence those around you. You create an environment that uplifts, inspires, and transforms. Just as negative choices can trap entire families or communities in cycles of pain, positive choices can ignite cycles of healing and growth. There is a profound truth. The life you are living right now is a reflection of the choices you have made up until this point. And the life you will live tomorrow is waiting on the choices you make today. If you want a different reality, you do not need to wait for luck, or for permission, or for circumstances to change. You simply need to begin making different choices. Choose thoughts that align with your vision. Choose emotions that lift you higher. Choose actions that move you toward your purpose. The power of choice is not always loud or dramatic. Sometimes it is quiet. It is the choice to forgive instead of holding on to resentment. It is the choice to get back up when you fall instead of giving in to despair. It is the choice to take one small step forward when everything in you wants to retreat. These choices may seem insignificant in the moment, but they are the seeds of transformation. When you recognize the power of choice, you awaken to a new reality. Nothing in your life is fixed. Everything can change the moment you decide to change it. Every habit can be broken. Every belief can be rewritten. Every pattern can be replaced. It all begins with a single decision, a conscious choice to no longer live by default, but to live by design. The past is a powerful teacher, but it was never meant to be a prison. Yet for so many people, life is nothing more than a constant replay of what has already happened. Memories become anchors, emotions become chains, and patterns of thought become walls that confine them. They wake up each day believing they are free, but in reality, they are living inside the boundaries of experiences that no longer exist. Living beyond the past begins with understanding how deeply the body and mind are wired to repeat it. Every time you recall a memory, your brain reactivates the same neural networks as when the event originally happened. If the memory is emotionally charged, pain, betrayal, fear, or regret, your body produces the same chemicals it did in that moment. In this way, the past is not just something you remember, it is something you relive. You think about it, you feel it, and before long, you are back in it. The event may have happened 10 years ago, but to your brain and body, it is happening now. This is why so many people struggle to create new futures. They are not living in the present moment, they are trapped in emotional loops tied to old experiences. They say they want change, but their thoughts are anchored to the story of who they used to be. They long for freedom, but their body is addicted to the feelings of the past. Resentment, guilt, anger, disappointment. They may not even realize it, but those familiar emotions become a kind of identity. And because identity feels safe, the body clings to it, even if it causes suffering. To live beyond the past is to recognize that memory does not equal destiny. Just because something happened does not mean It must define who you are or where you are going. You are not the event. You are not the pain. You are not the mistakes you made or the disappointments you endured. You are the consciousness that is aware of them. And as long as you can observe them, you can also transcend them. Living beyond the past requires a shift from memorizing emotions to creating new ones. If your body has been conditioned to feel fear, then courage must be practiced. If it has been conditioned to feel unworthy, then worthiness must be cultivated. If it has been conditioned to feel sadness, then joy must be chosen. This does not mean ignoring or suppressing what happened. It means refusing to let it be the dominant frequency of your life. You are not here to endlessly recycle old emotions. You are here to generate new ones that open doors to a different future. The past also survives through language. Every time you tell the same old story, how someone hurt you, how you failed, how unfair life has been, you are rehearsing the past, wiring it deeper into your identity. Words carry power. If you continue to speak the language of limitation, you will continue to live a life of limitation. To live beyond the past, you must speak the language of possibility. Tell a new story, one where the pain became wisdom, where the failure became fuel, where the ending became a beginning. It is also important to see how much of the past lives in your environment. The places you spend time in, the people you surround yourself with, even the objects you hold onto can trigger old patterns of thought and emotion. If you want to live beyond the past, you must sometimes step into new environments that reflect the future you want to create, not the history you are trying to escape. Change the scenery, and you often change the story. Living beyond the past is ultimately an act of courage. It means stepping into the unknown. The past feels safe because it is familiar, even when it hurts. The future feels uncertain because it has not been created yet. Many people cling to the pain they know rather than risk the possibility of the unknown. But the unknown is where freedom exists. The unknown is where new possibilities are born. The unknown is where you finally meet the version of yourself that has been waiting all along. When you live beyond the past, you stop allowing old memories to predict your future. You stop letting yesterday's emotions write tomorrow's script. You stop defining yourself by what has been and begin defining yourself by what can be. This is not about forgetting or denying where you came from. It is about using the past as a stepping stone rather than a cage. It is about carrying the lessons but releasing the weight. The truth is, you cannot step fully into your future while holding on to the identity of your past. You cannot embody a new life while rehearsing the old one. The moment you let go, the moment you stop rehearsing old thoughts and emotions, the past loses its grip. And in that space of freedom, you can begin to create a reality that is not limited by who you were, but expanded by who you are becoming. There comes a point in life when success, comfort, or even survival is not enough. The soul longs for something deeper, something more expansive, something that makes the struggle worthwhile. That something is purpose. Purpose is the invisible compass that gives direction to your days. It is the fire that ignites your heart when you wake up in the morning, and the anchor that steadies you when challenges appear. To align with purpose is to stop drifting aimlessly through life and to begin living with clarity, coherence, and intention. So many people waste years not because they lack talent or opportunity, but because they lack alignment. They move in directions that do not resonate with who they truly are. They chase goals that society tells them to pursue, but deep down, those goals feel empty. They work tirelessly to climb ladders, only to discover that the ladder is leaning against the wrong wall. Living this way drains energy because when your actions are not aligned with your inner truth, everything feels heavier. Life becomes about survival rather than creation. Aligning with purpose begins with listening. Beneath the noise of your thoughts, beneath the conditioning of your past, beneath the expectations of others, there is a quiet voice that is always speaking. That voice is intuition, calling you toward the life you are meant to live. It often speaks in feelings more than words. A sense of excitement when you imagine one path. A sense of heaviness when you imagine another. Too often, people ignore this inner guidance, dismissing it as unrealistic or inconvenient. But ignoring it is what creates the deepest regret. To align with purpose, you must be willing to listen, and then brave enough to act. Purpose is not found outside of you. It is uncovered within you. It is revealed when you ask yourself, what kind of life would make me feel fully alive? What values do I want to embody? What contribution do I want to leave behind? These questions pierce through the fog of distraction and reconnect you with the truth of who you are. When you discover that truth and align your daily actions with it, life stops being a series of random events and becomes a meaningful journey. Alignment also requires coherence between mind, body, and heart. If your thoughts are one thing, your feelings are another, and your actions are something else entirely, you will always feel divided. But when your thoughts are aligned with your vision, when your emotions match that vision, and when your actions embody it, you enter a state of flow. In that state, energy is no longer wasted in conflict. Instead, it is focused, powerful, and magnetic. You attract opportunities, people, and circumstances that reflect the purpose you are living. There is also a difference between goals and purpose. Goals are achievements, milestones, or markers of progress. They are important, but they are temporary. Purpose is eternal. It is the essence of why you are here. A person aligned with purpose may set and achieve many goals, but those goals are not the destination. They are simply expressions of a deeper mission. This is why someone can achieve great success by worldly standards, yet still feel empty, while another who lives with purpose can experience profound fulfillment, even without external recognition. Purpose does not mean life will be without challenge. In fact, living with purpose often demands greater courage, because it calls you to step beyond comfort and into growth. But the difference is that when challenges arise, you do not collapse under them. You are fueled by them. When you are aligned with purpose, obstacles transform into teachers. Pain becomes meaningful. Sacrifice becomes worthwhile. Every struggle refines you, strengthens you, and pushes you closer to becoming the person you are destined to be. Alignment also requires honesty. It requires asking yourself whether the life you are living reflects your highest vision, or whether it reflects the expectations of others. Many people live decades fulfilling someone else's dream, only to realize too late that they never pursued their own. To align with purpose, you must release the need for approval and the fear of judgment. You must be willing to walk your own path, even if it looks different from the paths around you. When you live in alignment, life has a different texture. Time feels richer because you are not wasting it on meaningless pursuits. Energy feels stronger because you are not fighting against yourself. Even the simplest actions, working, creating, connecting, carry depth because they are infused with meaning. You no longer wake up asking, "What do I have to do today?" Instead, you wake up asking, "How can I live my purpose today?" That single shift transforms existence from routine into fulfillment. And purpose is not only about what you gain, it is also about what you give. The deepest fulfillment comes not from accumulation, but from contribution. When your life aligns with purpose, your presence becomes a gift. You inspire, uplift, and empower others simply by being who you are meant to be. In this way, living your purpose is not selfish. It is the greatest service you can offer to the world. Life is not something to be endured, repeated, or wasted. It is a gift waiting to be consciously lived. When you become aware of time, you recognize that every moment is sacred, that every breath carries possibility. When you break the loop, you free yourself from unconscious repetition and step into the power of creation. When you embrace the power of choice, you awaken to the truth that you are never trapped, that every decision you make is shaping the reality ahead. When you live beyond the past, you release the chains of old stories and open the door to new experiences. And when you align with purpose, you stop drifting through life and begin walking with clarity, direction, and meaning. The question is no longer whether life will pass you by. It will. The question is whether you will allow it to slip through your fingers unconsciously, or whether you will rise, awake, and aware to live it fully. This is your moment to choose. This is your chance to stop wasting your life and begin creating it with intention, with presence, and with purpose.